Hey everyone, my name is Austin, and welcome back to another episode of the Unfiltered Faith Podcast. If this is your first time joining us, thank you for tuning in. If you've been here before, welcome back, and thank you for letting me be part of your morning, afternoon, or evening. And today we're going to be talking about the milestones and how not reaching these milestones can have a negative impact on us. It's almost as if there's an unspoken script that we all are expected to follow. You know the one I'm talking about. Graduate college, land a stable job, climb the corporate ladder, buy a house, and so on. But what happens when you find yourself feeling out of place in this narrative? Well, what if your dreams look different? So let's dive in, and I hope to inspire you and offer fresh perspectives that resonate with your own unique experiences. If you like to take notes, I encourage it. And also have your Bible out because we'll be diving into some scripture. And let's get started. Have you ever felt that nagging pressure to check off certain boxes by a certain age? Maybe it's getting married by your late 20s, landing that dream job in your early 30s, or having kids before you hit a certain milestone. Society has a way of placing these milestones on a pedestal, creating an unwritten timeline that can leave us feeling inadequate or lost, especially when our journeys don't align with those expectations. Have you ever caught yourself scrolling through social media and feeling something of envy or inadequacy? You're not alone. The first thing I want you to remember is that comparison is the thief of all joy. When we focus on what others are doing, we can lose sight of our unique journey. Today's episode is inspired by Ecclesiastes 3 1 through 8. So if you have your Bibles, please turn there. Ecclesiastes 3 1 through 8 tells us that there is a time and a place for everything. There's a season and a time for every matter under the sun. The author of Ecclesiastes, King Solomon, goes on to outline the various seasons of lifetimes: to be born, to die, to weep, to laugh. And it's a poetic reminder that life is always happening, composed of different phases, each with its own significance. Think about it. The beauty of spring doesn't diminish the value of winter, even if winter can feel long and harsh. Unless if you live in Texas, then winter is about 2 weeks long. Similarly, our struggles our struggles often pave the way for growth, resilience, and a deeper understanding of ourselves. So why was Ecclesiastes written? Anyone? Ecclesiastes was written to encourage people to live by God's wisdom, to warn people against following human wisdom. You see, Solomon asked God for one thing. The only thing he wanted was wisdom, and even he couldn't handle the power of what he had requested. Ecclesiastes was also written to show that life is temporary and fleeting. It also shows us that true meaning comes from God and not things of this world. What season are you currently in? Are you in a time of growth, of waiting, of healing? Ecclesiastes teaches us that there is a divine purpose in every season. Just as the world changes with time, so do our lives. Yet, society often tries to impose a strict timeline on us, frequently leading to a sense of urgency, usually leaving us feeling depressed when we don't measure up to those set expectations. We often find ourselves comparing our journey to else's highlight reel, which can lead to feelings of inadequacy or frustration. But what if I told you that those feelings are completely normal? What if we embrace the notion that life is not a linear path, but rather a winding road full of unexpected detours? Believe it or not, the comparison game that we all fall into largely has to do with the impact of social media. So social media has a chokehold on our perceptions of success. Why is that? It's easy to feel like we're falling short when we see others achieving milestones we aspire to. But let's ask ourselves, what does success mean to us? Is it the number of likes on a post, or is it something much deeper, like living authentically, experiencing joy, or nurturing meaningful relationships? We live in a world that often glorifies certain milestones. Social media is a constant reminder of what others are achieving: weddings, promotions, new homes, and growing families. While it's wonderful to celebrate the highs of life, it can also become a source of comparison, making us question our paths. You're not where you want to be. You feel like you're supposed to be somewhere else. But what if you could snap your fingers and be exactly where you want to be? I bet you'd still feel like you're not where you're supposed to be. It seems pretty unfulfilling to be able to snap your fingers and be where you want to be. It's like reading a book and skipping to the end to discover what happens. What's the point of that? The fact is, you can't get so hung up on where you'd rather be that you forget how to make most of where you are. Take a break from worrying about what you can't control and focus on what you can control. If you're so worried about where you want to be in your life, it's impossible to be present. What does finding contentment look like? Let's explore some practical strategies to embrace where we are right now. First and foremost, practice gratitude. Keeping a gratitude journal can truly shift your perspective. Each day, jot down 3 things you're thankful for. This simple act can help you recognize the blessings in your current season rather than fixating on what you're missing. Secondly, embrace your timeline. Write down your dreams and aspirations, but don't tie them to a specific age or deadline. Life isn't a race, it's a journey. Each of us has a unique path designed for us. The beauty of this journey is that it's filled with twists and turns that shape us into who we are meant to be. Next, cultivate patience. Patience is a virtue, but let's be honest, it's not always easy. In a world of instant gratification, waiting can feel like an eternity. But remember, good things come to those who wait. Sometimes the most beautiful blessings take time to unfold. Trust that your season will come. Lastly, connect with your community. Surround yourself with people who uplift and encourage you. Sharing your struggles and triumphs with others can provide a sense of belonging and support. You'll realize that you're not alone in your feelings, and together you can celebrate each other's unique journeys. Time is a concept, it's not a real thing. Ancient civilizations developed this concept of time based on the sun's position. The location of where the sun is shouldn't dictate where you feel like you're behind in life or not. Think about that for a moment. Did you know that a variety of factors can shape our perspective of time? Studies show that time can feel like it's flying by when we're engaged in activities we love or when we're busy, while it may drag on during moments of boredom or discomfort. This phenomenon reveals that time isn't just a ticking clock. It's a personal experience shaped by our emotions and engagement with the world. As we reflect on this, let's delve into a deeper philosophical question. What would existence be like without time? Imagine a reality where we exist beyond the constraints of minutes and hours. If we remove the pressures of deadlines and appointments, how would that shift our perspective on life? Would we find more joy on the present moment? Would our relationships deepen, unrestricted by the ticking of a clock? This is where we can find inspiration. Instead of being slaves to our schedules, we can embrace the beauty of now. Here are some tips to help shift your focus away from clock watching and into living fully. Number one is practice mindfulness. Take a few moments each day to sit in silence. Focus on your breath, the sensation in your body, and the world around you. This practice helps ground you in the present. Number two, engage in flow activities. Find activities that completely absorb your attention, whether it's painting, dancing, or hiking. Whether when you're in a flow state, time becomes irrelevant and you're fully immersed in the experience. Number three, limit screen time. In our fast paced digital age, screens can dominate our perceptions of time. Set boundaries for device usage, allowing yourself to connect more authentically with the people in the world around you. Number four, cultivate gratitude. At the end of each day, reflect on 3 things you are grateful for. This simple practice shifts your focus from time and slipping away to appreciating the moments that matter. Number 5, connect with nature. Spend time outside, whether you're walking in the park or hiking the mountains. Nature reminds us that life unfolds in its rhythm, free from the constraints we often impose. As we navigate this journey of existence, let's embrace the idea that time is a construct and how we perceive it can be transformed. By focusing on the present, we can create a life filled with richness. With we can create a life filled with richness, connection, and joy. So let's challenge ourselves to step away from the clock today. Live in the moment. Experience life as it unfolds. For instance, did you know that our emotional state can significantly alter our perception of time? When we're happy or engaged in something we love, time seems to slip away. But during moments of fear or anxiety, those seconds can feel like hours. It's almost as if our brains are playing tricks on us, isn't it? But what if we took a step back and started to think about time from a philosophical perspective? Imagine a world without time. How would that change our existence? It raises profound questions. Well, what does it mean to live without the pressures of minutes ticking away? Can we find a sense of being that transcends the clock? These thoughts can be both liberating and daunting. They challenge us to rethink our relationship with time and the way we could structure our lives. In a world so fixated on schedules and deadlines, it can be refreshing to ponder the idea of existing in the timeless state, where we fully immerse ourselves in each moment, unburdened by the weight of time. Remember, life isn't just about making time, it's about making time meaningful. So let's challenge ourselves to live each moment fully, appreciating our experiences rather than rushing through them. In a world that often equates success with a title or a paycheck, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters, your definition of fulfillment. According to a recent study, many people report feeling unfulfilled despite achieving societal milestones. Why is that? I believe it stems from a disconnect between our external achievements and our internal desires. We can often find ourselves caught in a whirlwind of expectations, leading to a feeling of being trapped in a life that doesn't feel authentic to us. Don't mistake external achievement for internal desire. While you're at it, make sure your internal desires line up with your external achievements. Ask yourself, is this what I really want? If you answer yes to that, you're going to feel 100% more fulfilled. So let's take a moment to reflect. What does success mean to you? Is it the corner office, or is it waking up excited about the day ahead? Is it the awards or the ability to make a difference in someone's life? Understanding and defining success on your terms can be liberating. It allows you to break free from societal molds and create a life that resonate with your authentic self. So I encourage you right now to jot down a few things about success. Look what success looks like for you. Remember, this is your journey, and there's no right or wrong answer. Now let's transition to a concept that I think is particularly exciting. Planned spontaneity. It almost sounds like an oxymoron, doesn't it? How can we plan spontaneity? I've had to learn and develop this concept for myself because I'm by no means a spontaneous person. The truth is that life is unpredictable, and while we can't control every aspect, and while we can't control every twist and turn, we can cultivate an environment that encourages spontaneous joy and creativity. I took one coding class in my junior year of high school, and I really enjoyed it. I thought that one day I'd get a job in computer science. Coming out of high school, I wanted a job where I could make 6 figures, and computer science seemed like that was it at the time. I didn't even take an advanced math class in college before I figured out that wasn't going to work for me. I mean, what was I thinking? I'm awful at math. English was something I was always good at. I was that I was that nerd in your English class who was excited to write a 1,000-word essay while the rest of the class was moaning and groaning. Later on in my collegiate career, I took a media writing class, a class that teaches you how to write for a newspaper or magazine. My professor announced that the school newspaper was hiring, and I quickly jumped onto the opportunity. At first, it was difficult. After all, I was essentially learning as I went, because I was taking the class while doing the job. I fell in love with it, and that's the story about how I ended up in journalism. By planning spontaneity, we open ourselves up to the opportunity that can reignite our passion and curiosity. Life can become a series of delightful surprises rather than a monotonous routine. I know this may sound like an oxymoron, but how can you incorporate planned spontaneity in your life? Here are a few suggestions. Number one, schedule unstructured time. Create a block of time in your calendar for spontaneous activities. Leave it open ended. Number two, make a bucket list. Write down activities you've always wanted to try and pull one out at a random when you're looking for something to do. Number three, invite friends. Sometimes having friends join you can make spontaneous activities even more fun. Plan a monthly adventure night where you all take turns choosing what to do. Number four, stay open minded. Embrace the unexpected when an opportunity arises. Consider it, even if it's out of your comfort zone. Number five, get out of your comfort zone. You'd be surprised about how much fun spontaneous activities will be when you do it with friends. I think one of the biggest challenges we face in the world is, I think one of the biggest challenges we face is the fear of change, of letting go of something we once loved. But here's the thing. Clinging to outdated interests can hold us back from discovering new joys. When was the last time you tried something completely new? Maybe you had a hobby that you haven't touched in years because life got busy, or perhaps you've been hesitant to explore a different career path because you're afraid to deviate from what you've always known. But here's the thing. Evolving interests can lead to profound fulfillment. They can open doors to new communities, experiences, and opportunities that you never imagined. For example, I've seen friends who once pursued careers in finance transition to the arts and finding incredible success and happiness. They discovered that their true passion lay in creativity, not numbers. So how can you embrace your evolved? So how can you embrace your evolving interests? Here are a few tips. Number one, reflect regularly. Take time to assess what you love and what you've outgrown. Journaling can be an effective way to track your thoughts and feelings. Number two, experiment. Don't be afraid to try new things, even if they're outside your usual realm. Take a cooking class or join a local hiking group. It's all about exploration. Number three, be patient. Understand that discovering new interests in is a process. Give yourself grace as you navigate this journey. Number four, connect with others. Surround yourself with people who support your growth. Share your evolving interests and invite them to join you on this journey. When was the last time you celebrated a small victory in your life? Maybe it was getting out of bed on a rough day, completing a project, or simply being present for a friend in need. Success doesn't always look grand. Sometimes it's found in the everyday moments that fill our lives. Let's take a moment to consider mindfulness practices that can help us embrace our current situation, regardless of how far we feel from our envisioned path. One practice I find incredibly grounding is the act of journaling. Taking the time to write down your thoughts and feelings can help us gain clarity and perspective. It allows us to articulate our experiences and reflect on what truly matters to us. Another helpful practice is grounding ourselves in nature, whether it's a walk in the park, a hike in the mountains, or simply sitting outside. Being in nature can remind us of the beauty of the rhythm of life. It connects us to the present moment, allowing us to appreciate where we are right now instead of fixating on where we think we should be. I encourage you to find mindfulness practice that works for you. It can be meditation, yoga, or even creative expression through art or music. The key is to create space for yourself to breathe and to simply be. Now let's circle back to Ecclesiastes. It speaks to the inevitability of change and the importance of acceptance. Life is filled with seasons, each with its lessons and opportunities for growth. As we navigate these unpredictable journeys, it's essential to cultivate a mindset of acceptance, accepting where we are, who we are, and trusting that we're exactly where we need to be in this moment. Think about a time in your life when you faced a detour. Perhaps it felt frustrating or disappointing at the time. But looking back, you can see how that detour led you to something beautiful or transformative. I want you to I want to invite you to consider this question. What lesson has a detour taught you? Maybe it was a change in career, a shift in relationships, or a challenge that turned into an opportunity. Reflecting on these moments can reveal the underlying beauty in life's unpredictability. In a fast paced world, it's easy to get caught up in the hustle of everyday life, striving for achievements and accolades. But what if we redefine success? What if we measured our worth not by society standards, but by our values and experiences? Well, let's take a moment to pause and reflect on what fulfillment means to you. Is it about chasing after achievements, or is it about nurturing relationships, pursuing passions, and being true to yourself? Let me tell you something. Do you know how many times I threatened to quit college? More times than I'd like to admit. But it's going to be a hell of a feeling when I walk across that stage knowing that I made it. Sometimes when we fo- Sometimes when we focus on the little details of a picture or a work of art, it's hard to understand what's going on. But if we take a step back, we can see the the picture or work of art in its entirety, and we can appreciate it more. The same concept can be applied to our daily lives. When we focus on each accomplishment separately, it's easy to get frustrated and think to ourselves that we haven't done much. But when we step back and look at our lives as a whole, we can see the bigger picture. What if we approach our lives with a sense of wonder rather than comparison? What if we allowed ourselves to be fully present, celebrating each small victory along the way? There are a lot of questions to consider. Do you have what it takes to uncover the answers? I mean, that's what life is all about, right? Answering life's biggest questions. Thank you for joining me today on this episode of the Unfiltered Faith Podcast. I hope you got something out of today's discussion and are feeling inspired to embrace your current circumstances and redefine your perception of success and fulfillment. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Follow us on Instagram at the Unfiltered Faith Podcast. Be discussed on a later episode. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with something to reflect on. Life is not a sprint. It is a leisurely walk through the park, filled with endless possibilities. Grant yourself the freedom to redefine your definition of success. Welcome spontaneity and allow your interests to evolve. Every step you take contributes to the extraordinary narrative of your life, a story that deserves to be lived authentically. Perhaps you may not be exactly where you envision yourself, but have you considered that your present position is possibly far better than where you once stood? Maybe you feel prepared for the next phase of life, but have you considered that the next phase in your life isn't ready for you? Join us next week as we dive deep into the narrative of John 9 and explore the difference between spiritual blindness and physical blindness. Join me as I unpack how these concepts Join me as I unpack how these concepts manifest in our lives and communities and discuss actionable ways we can support those who may be suffering from spiritual blindness. Through engaging conversation, he'll also examine the theological implications of these issues within the context of faith, encouraging you guys to reflect on your understanding and awareness. Until next time, keep seeking those fresh perspectives, live in the moment, and don't let societal pressures dictate your next season of life.